Hey, Ohio State. You lost again? ah, you know, in all seriousness, Ohio State, man, they that team was physical. Like the last couple of years, 2021, 2022, Ohio State really couldn't match Michigan's physicality as a team. In the last couple of years, whether it was 2021, 2022, Michigan would just punch Ohio State in the mouth, and they would just stay down. They would take the punch, they would lay on the ground and throw the towel. We're done. All right, I'm hurt. I'm done. 2023, they didn't do that. They went out there and we punched them in the mouth like we usually do, and they punched us back. The only problem was Michigan got the knockout punch, and you're out cold in the form of an interception at the end of the game to win it. So they did match our physicality. Still not as physical or as tough as Michigan. I would love to know the excuse at this point. There really is no good excuse. There wasn't ever a good excuse, but people are going to give all the excuses they can. 2021, it was about the weather. Oh, the snow. As if we don't play in the snow too. You play in the Midwest. Get over it. The wind was too loud. What kind of excuse was that? We had the flu. And then last year, we played at your stadium in 50-degree weather, sunny, and we beat you even worse. Passing and running the ball. And then this year, the excuse last year was you only beat us on 5 plays. We beat you. Cry about it. This year, it was the whole sign stealing fiasco. I don't know why I did this with my hand. The whole sign stealing fiasco, right? I don't think Michigan stole signs in this game. Don't think they did. Pretty sure we just went out there and, we beat you. Michigan doesn't even have a sign analyst on their team anymore, on their employment. They don't have a sign analyst. In fact, they're the only team in the country that doesn't have a sign analyst anymore. Thanks to crying Ryan. Could you imagine? Can you imagine? You try so hard. You get a personal investigator. You tell them all this stuff. You release all this dirt on Michigan, apparently that they're doing all these wrongdoings in a way to get an advantage, not only emotionally, but just mentally, a mental advantage, an emotional advantage over Michigan, and you get our coach suspended for the last 3 games of the season, and you go out and you still lose? That's embarrassing. Now, Ohio State's team, the team itself, the players, very physical, very tough. Ryan Day is soft, though. Ryan Day is a soft boy. He is. You know what? As a Michigan fan, as a diehard Michigan fan, I hope that Ohio State keeps Ryan Day forever. I really do. Because as long as it keeps going in this direction, I'm happy. I'm cool, right? Michigan wins for the 3rd year in a row. 30-24. Closer than it was the last couple of years, but that's all right. You get the win. 12-0. Michigan's 12-0. Going to be in the Big Ten Championship next Saturday against Iowa on my birthday. Hopefully they don't disappoint me on my birthday. And if we win that game, we're in the playoffs again for the third year in a row. Hopefully we win a playoff game this time, if we can. So, Ohio State, you're not in the playoffs. Don't even think about it. You're not going to sniff one. Not going to sniff one playoff game. You'll be sitting at home enjoying the winter weather. And then, I don't know, you'll play in some meaningless bowl game against probably the loser of the Pac-12 championship game or something. Whoever that may be. It really felt like, even though Michigan was given pretty much every disadvantage in the book in terms of a mental edge and an emotional edge, they still had a better mentality. And they still had their emotions in check better than Ohio State. Leading up to this game, it really seemed like Michigan players were in a better place. They were taking it seriously, obviously, but they were, we're gonna, they're joking around, they're happy, they're in good spirits, they're positive, they're not listening to the noise. They're playing to prove a point, they're playing for their coach. Ohio State players were, you got guys like, oh, well, have you been watching and studying the tape on Michigan? No. Okay. Kyle McCord saying it's just a game. Not a good look. Not a good look. People have been absolutely crapping on Kyle McCord because of that comment. And then there are other people being like, well, he's right. That's what you don't understand. It's not just a game. To a lot of people. This game is huge for everybody involved. Everybody, or at least it should be, right? What happens to the losing team if they lose this game? Well, they get nothing in front of them. We were talking about leading up to this game. I'm pretty sure I mentioned it in the Maryland post game from a week ago, that the loser of this game goes home. The winner of this game has everything in front of them. It is all or nothing. This game could not have been bigger. This game, in a way, was bigger than last year. This game was certainly closer than last year. And it just seemed like they weren't really playing with fire. They weren't playing with the fire in them. They weren't playing with the passion in them. Ohio State. You got Kyle McCord saying it's just a game. Players admitting to not watching Michigan tape. You got Ryan Day making questionable calls. Again, just playing with no aggression. I don't even think Ohio State attempted 1 4th down on this entire game. Did they? Did they even try? Like, I think every time they were on 4th down, they either punted or they kicked the field goal if they could. Even if it was like 4th and 2 in Michigan territory. They kick a field goal. A 52-yard field goal. I don't understand that. That made no sense to me. 0 sense. It's like they didn't even want to play. It's like they didn't even want to be there. I don't know. I don't know, man. It's been a rough season for Michigan. Not in terms of play on the field. We've definitely had our struggles on the field, but every team has some weaknesses, right? The path to getting to 12-0 was hard. Maybe more so for the fans. You know, before the season even started, it was rough. The whole Burgergate thing, you know, happened, and excuse me, and we kind of made fun of it, you know. Like, us Michigan fans, like, I made a video, it was largely a joke, like, just kind of making fun of the whole situation and how Harbaugh, you know, they were talking, the NCAA was talking about suspending him for the first 4 games or whatever, and then they never ended up doing it, and then the Big Ten, not even the Big Ten, Michigan itself, the university, and did a self-imposed 3-game suspension, meaning Harbaugh couldn't be on the sideline or coach for the East Carolina UNLV and Bowling Green game. And it was like, man, this is all ridiculous. Like, whatever, we're going to win those games regardless. So we had, you know, Mike Hart was a coach, Sharon Moore, I think Jesse Minter did some coaching as well. And, you know, we got through those games. We won those 3 games, whatever. Harbaugh came back. He coached for the Rutgers game. He coached for the Nebraska game. He coached for the Minnesota game, the Indiana game. And then we went into a bye week, and we won all those games, dominated all those games. I think it was, let's see if I can remember this correctly off the top of my head. Rutgers was 31-7. Nebraska was 45-7. Minnesota was 52-10. Indiana was 52-7. I'm pretty sure I'm remembering that correctly. That's 4, 5. That'd be 7 games. We were 7-0 going into the Michigan State game. There was a bye week in between. During that bye week, the whole scandal, sign stealing scandal, came out. And, you know, there was talks for a while, and all this information coming out, all these accusations, of which none has been proven, by the way. People keep talking about it like all this crap has been proven. It's literally accusations right now. As we speak, it's accusations. We don't know anything other than Connor Stalions was involved in some way, and there was somebody that I guess kind of looked like Connor Stalions on the sideline for Michigan State Central Michigan in like week 1 on a Friday night. I don't know. It maybe, and it's a lot of he said, she said kind of a deal, or he said kind of a deal. And, you know, it was largely just kind of silly. And this all happened during our bye week. So, of course, you know, even during our bye week, we really couldn't relax because we were worried about that the whole time. And what possibly could come from that. And then the Michigan State game came around in East Lansing, and Michigan went out there and absolutely obliterated them. Good. And it was kind of like a statement win. Not necessarily in the fact that, like, Michigan State's any good, because they're not. They're terrible. They're terrible. They're awful. And I'm happy about it. We won that game 49-0, and I was like, cool. You know, we're on our way. You know, the following week, there was more coming out, more news articles, ESPN spewing their propaganda all this entire time. The Purdue game came around. We won that game 41-13. You know, leading up to that game, the Purdue head coach, I can't even remember his name, was, you know, saying, no, they cheated. Clearly, obviously. There was that whole meeting that the Big Ten commissioner, Tony Petitti, was having with all of the Big Ten commissioners and all the ADs and all that stuff after Harbaugh left the call, of course, because they're soft, like Ryan Day. And you know, Ryan Day was the guy that basically leaked all this stuff, and he is responsible, at least in some way. Ohio State, in general, you know, they're the ones trying to get Michigan in trouble. You know they are. Who else would it be? Who else would it be? Otherwise, how would they have found out about anything? How would they have gotten any information at all? It was Ryan Day. It was Ohio State. Cry about it. Yeah, I'm accusing him, but who else could it possibly be? But anyways, Michigan went out there, they beat Purdue, and that was the last time we saw Jim Harbaugh on the sideline up until now, as of November 27th, 2023. Then, the hammer came down. Harbaugh was suspended by the Big Ten for the last 3 games of the regular season, that being the Penn State, Maryland, and Ohio State game. And Sharon Moore, our offensive line coach, our offensive coordinator, will oversee duties as interim head coach for those 3 games. We went to Happy Valley. We beat Penn State. Was never really in doubt. Dominated that game. The scoreboard doesn't really show it, but we dominated that game in Happy Valley. Sucked the life out of Drew Aller and that Penn State crowd and the Penn State team. And James Franklin is no good, and he's 10-2 again. We won that game. Went 10-0. And then we go into the Maryland game, and we're feeling good, but people are saying, well, this is a hangover game and a look ahead game. Maryland is can be sneaky good and all that stuff. And I was aware of that, right? I didn't think we were gonna lose, and we didn't lose. We won, but I figured it was kind of a trap game. We had the hangover from the Penn State win. It was an emotional win. And then you have Ohio State the following week of you have Maryland in between that hangover emotional win and the Ohio State game, which you're looking ahead to, right? And you focus on that game all year long. And Michigan goes out there on the road at Maryland in Baltimore and struggles. The thing that was frustrating about that game was that we were up 23-3 at one point, and they came back. Maryland did, and they had a real shot at beating us. And everyone was saying, "Well, Michigan's done." Ohio State went out that same week. The same week Michigan struggled against Maryland, destroyed Minnesota. Like Michigan didn't do the same thing. But yeah, we go out there, we beat Penn State 24-15, and we go out the following week and we squeak out a win with a couple of safeties, a couple of interceptions against Maryland, 31-24. Then the game happens. Both teams are 11-0. Again, everything is on the line. Whoever wins this game is going to the Big Ten Championship. Whoever wins this game not only goes to the Big Ten Championship, but if they win that game, is going to the playoffs for sure. And the other team is going home because you're not backdooring your way in like you were last year because there's just too many good teams now. We had multiple 2-loss conference title winners last year. Ohio State just kind of backdoored their way in. And I think in any situation this year, that's not really going to happen. I think Ohio State will need a lot of top teams to lose, and then even then, I'm not even sure if it'll be enough. So everything is on the line. And Michigan went out there, held the lead the entire game, and won. And was the better team. 2 interceptions again. Kyle McCord played a mid-game. I mean, he played fine, but 2 interceptions, it's going to kill you. You know what? I'm not even going to blame Kyle McCord fully, but I'll get back to that. But Michigan went out there and won the game, 12-0. Everything is still in front of us. I could not be more proud of this team, man. Honestly. I was insanely proud of that 2021 team after they beat Ohio State, right? They came back from losing to Michigan State that year. They beat Penn State close, hard-fought game. 21-17 in that one. And, you know, you go into that Ohio State game that year, and you have expectations because we're Michigan fans. We're supposed to Michigan's a top program, historically speaking. So we're supposed to have high expectations. It's a rivalry game. You're supposed to beat your rivals. And at this point, Michigan was on an 8-game losing streak to Ohio State. You can go back 4 or 5 years into my YouTube channel and find the dark days of Michigan football. Even 3 years ago, you can go find the dark days of Michigan football. 3 years ago, I had a video titled Michigan Football is Dead. That was in 2020. And at that point, they were dead. Or they were darn near close. I have a video from 2018 after the Michigan-Ohio State game from 2018 where we lost 62-39. The 2019 game, I don't even remember if I made a video for that one. We got crushed in that one too, 56-27. Those are the dark years. You can go back and find them. They're on my channel still. They're all 3, 4, 5 years old now. Maybe even older than that now. Maybe 6 years old coming up. That's crazy. But they're there. So going into that 2021 game, knowing what 2020 was like, you have expectations, but you are kind of limiting your expectations. You're like, well, in 2020, Michigan was really bad. And I mean, yes, we're a lot better this year. But Ohio State was really good last year, and they're really good this year too. Both teams, I believe, were 10-1 going into that game. I think who did Ohio State lose to? I think Oregon in like week 2 or something like 35-28, if I remember correctly. And you've seen it before. It was like that in 2018, I believe. Both teams were 10-1. And we lost those games. You go back to the 2016 game where JT was short and all this stuff, which he was. But, that game happened and it was what it was, and Michigan lost those games. And Michigan of the past, of the 2010s, I mean, Cade McNamara said it after, the Penn State game in 2021. Michigan teams of old would lose this game. And Michigan went out there in 2021 and won the game against Ohio State. They ran all over them, dominated them, won 42-27. All right. Well, the following year, Michigan's 11-0 going into the game. Even better. Even better. And you had people saying, yeah, you beat them last year. You beat Ohio State last year. But now you need to prove that it wasn't a fluke. You need to prove that it wasn't a fluke and beat them at their home field. Because they don't believe... Because in going into 2022, Ohio State was supposed to win that game, right? Everyone was voting for Ohio State to win that game. If you're not a Michigan fan, of course. Almost everybody said, Ohio State's going to win that game. Ohio State's going to win that game. The Michigan win, yeah, good, whatever. You can argue, well, Michigan was losing every year, and then they won that game in 2011, and then what happened after that? They went back to losing every year again. Why wouldn't it be the same thing, right? 10 years later. And Michigan went into Ohio Stadium in 50-degree weather and won the game even better than they did the year before. And they looked more balanced doing it. And won the Big Ten championship for a second year in a row. Then you come out this year as the favorite, because now you've earned it. Now Michigan has earned it. And they go out there, and they're 11-0 again going into this game. This is the second year in a row Michigan has gone 12-0. I believe it's the first time. Is it in program history, or is it just a really long time? I can't really remember. And and Michigan wins again. By the time next year's game comes around, there won't be one player on Ohio State's team that has seen a win over Michigan. Going into this game, there was only 2 players that were there for that 2019 game. 2. And going into this game, there was only 2 players that Michigan has seen that from Michigan that has seen them lose to Ohio State in that 2019 game. The script has been flipped. Michigan now owns this series. Michigan owns Ohio State. We own Ohio State. We've got your number. We definitely got Ryan Day's number. And he lives, I mean, we live rent-free in his mind. Did you see him after the game? You see him before the game? He looked tired. Oh, he looked like he hadn't slept at all the previous night. Can you blame him? He looked drained by the time that game was over. Drained. It's why I think Ryan Day is going to leave. I could be wrong. That comment could age poorly. But he could leave. Just because he's so sick and tired of the stress of having to have that on his mind all year round about gotta beat Michigan, gotta beat Michigan, gotta beat Michigan, and fail every year. And people have been really hard on Harbaugh in the past. I've been hard on Harbaugh. You guys know it. Especially years ago in the 2020 season, 2019-18, I was calling for Jim Harbaugh's job. I was with all the Michigan fans wanting him gone. And even when they did give him an extension and lowered his pay, I was like, I don't care. Whatever. And the 2021 season is just kind of when that whole culture shift happened, right? That whole shift in culture at Michigan. Where it's more about the team. The team. They went back to what Bo Schembechler said many years ago. He took his words literally, Jim Harbaugh did. And Bo Schembechler's words are proving himself right because it is worked out. And I'm really proud of this Michigan team. Regardless of what happens the rest of the season. I hope we can beat Iowa next week. We got to prepare for Iowa in Indianapolis. I wish Cade McNamara was the quarterback for that game. Iowa fans are really nice. Like, I'm not going to be mean or like trash talk Iowa. I know I have trash talked Iowa before, and I've made videos about like 5 years ago talking about how much I hate Iowa. I don't really hate Iowa anymore. I kind of grown out of that. I don't even really remember why I hated Iowa. It probably was because of that 2016 game where they beat us and ruined our perfect season. That was so long ago at this point. It feels like a lifetime ago, bro. Like, it really does. Anyways, I keep getting distracted. Hopefully we go out there and beat Iowa and we can win a playoff game, and I can wish upon a shooting star that we win a national championship, and I mean, we can do those things. I'm not sure if we really can. I believe this team is the most equipped in my lifetime to do it. But there's a lot of great teams this year, so we'll just have to see what happens and who we end up playing in the first round if we beat Iowa. But regardless, I'm really proud of this team and how they've rallied. And I hope that they can continue that. And by the way, Kyle McCord is not to blame. Yes, he threw 2 interceptions. Yes, he didn't seem in the game. You can say what you want about him, but at least he's not making excuses. At least he's not going out there blaming the weather and blaming the location and blaming the fact that the wind was blowing in the wrong direction, or blaming the fact that he has the flu or has COVID or whatever. Like, at least he's not doing that. I'm talking about you, CJ Stroud. You geek. No, CJ Stroud, he's doing pretty good in the NFL, I think. Good for him. I don't really pay attention, but cool. Good for him. At least he's not making excuses. And at least Kyle McCord didn't get blown out like CJ Stroud did. Listen, Kyle McCord's no CJ Stroud. I understand that. He's not even close in terms of talent and all that. But at least he's not making excuses. That's really all there is to it. Ryan Day is to blame. He's the man to blame. He's the head coach. Regardless if it was a player that made a mistake, guys weren't where they needed to be, whatever. It all falls on the head coach. It's his fault. It's Ryan Day's fault. So blame him. I think it's hilarious that Ohio State fans are calling for his job. I don't really care one way or another if he loses his job or not. I think it's absolutely hilarious. At this point, I'm happy about Michigan. And I'm so proud of this team, and hopefully we can continue this run we're on. And hopefully Jim Harbaugh signs another contract. And I love the way these guys rally around each other. And I haven't even really, I've been talking for a long time now, but I haven't even really talked about the stats of the game. And it doesn't even really, I don't even really care about the stats of the game, to be honest. They're nothing remarkable. I mean, it was a team effort. It was a team effort. And there's this one guy I watch on YouTube. He's really entertaining. He's a big Georgia fan, Uncle Lou, right? You may have seen me or Evan mention him in one of my live streams. And he said in his recent video, his Sunday video, that J.J. McCarthy is a garbage can quarterback, basically, because he sees his stats and sees that he only threw 1 touchdown. And he says he's no good. He may just be trash talking. I don't know what it is, but JJ's a great quarterback, and whatever you want JJ to be, he will be. Like, that's just it. You want him to throw the ball 30 times a game, he's going to do that for you. You want him to be a game manager and hand the ball off 32 times in a row, he's going to do that, and he's not going to complain. He's not trying to get video game numbers. He's not trying to pat his stats. He's not trying to look at the NFL after looking at his stats and show this off to the NFL. It's about his team. It's about the guys around him. Do you realize that he hardly ever will ever brag about his own performance? It's always about the team, the team, the team.
We want the Big Ten championship, and we're going to win it as a team. They can throw out all those great backs and great quarterbacks and great defensive players throughout the country and in this conference. But there's going to be one team that's going to play solely as a team. No man is more important than the team. No coach is more important than the team. The team, the team, the team. And if we think that way, all of us, everything that you do, you take into consideration what effect does it have on my team. Because you can go into professional football, you can go anywhere you want to play after you leave here. You will never play for a team again. You'll play for a contract, you'll play for this, you'll play for that, you'll play for everything except the team. And think what a great thing it is to be a part of something that is the team. We're going to win it. We're going to win the championship again because we're going to play as a team. Better than anybody else in this conference, we're going to play together as a team. We're going to believe in each other. We're not going to criticize each other. We're not going to talk about each other. We're going to encourage each other. And when we play as a team, when the old season is over, you and I know it's going to be Michigan again. Michigan.